Loving Saidam to all, welcome. My name is Nalini Patel and I will be assisting and facilitating today's online program for you all this evening. Before we commence proceedings, we will begin with 3 Oms. Salam everyone. Hope you're all keeping well and safe in your bubbles as we bring today's program on Aradhana Mahotsavam to you via live stream on YouTube. As you all know, today marks the auspicious day that our beloved Lord went from the form to the formless, as we come together in remembrance and celebration of his life, his teachings, and the ultimate gift of his boundless love that has touched the hearts of millions of devotees around the world. I have the honor of announcing our guest speaker today, Dr. Shashank Shah, who has recorded a very special video message for us all. Dr. Shah is a learned scholar who has completed many talks on the topic of spirituality and is also a visiting scholar at the Harvard Business School. He completed his postgraduate and doctoral studies in business management from the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, where he received the President of India and Governor's Gold Medals for standing first at the university in the MBA and Masters in Philosophy programs. He was also the editor-in-chief in the Publications Division at the Sri Sathya Sai Institute and has edited and compiled nearly 30 books on the divine message. He has been fortunate to speak on numerous occasions in Cycle Hall and has had many personal experiences with our beloved Bhagwan. His talk will be titled Swami, the Indweller in All. And please note that today's program will be going slightly over the allocated time to allow time to show the full video that he has lovingly prepared for us. However, before we show the recording, I would now like to hand it over to our National Devotional Coordinator, Uncle Guna Gunasekharan, to share a few words about Aradhana Mahotsavam. Over to you, Uncle Guna.
Thank you, Sister Nalini. Loving Saram to my dear brothers and sisters, and thanks for joining us tonight. I must confess I'm no authority to address on this holy Aradhana Day. So I'm going to share with you my inspiration that I derive from those who have had the greatest proximity with Bhagavan over many decades. It is said that when the divine makes its advent on earth, 2 beautiful things happen. 1, mankind gets an opportunity to witness God's love for man. 2, we also get an opportunity to witness man's love for God, which the Avatar has descended to light the light of love within our hearts. I will walk you through a series of flashbacks to revive some of the key messages that inspire me. Once the editor of the Christian Health magazine was asked, "Do you know God?" And he replied, "I know very little of him, but whatever little I know transformed my life." Dear brothers and sisters, we who have been chosen by Swami to be part of his divine mission, we who have been associated with Bhagavan in such close proximity, surely can testify some degree of transformation in our lives by that association with our beloved Lord. As you know, in Prashanti, students are often selected by Swami to deliver talks on special occasions. And on one such occasion, Swami had summoned the students inquiring about their topics. Amongst them was our dear brother Sanjay Sahani, the current controller of exams in Prashanti. He answered Swami, "I would like to speak on Sai, our Sadguru." And like a good teacher who wants his pupil to have clear concepts, Swami asked him, "Who is a guru?" And Sanjay kept quiet as per norm. Swami then explained, "Guru is one who removes the darkness of ignorance." He then went on, "Who is the Sadguru?" Sanjay ventured and said, Bhagavan, Sadguru is one who takes the individual beyond the ocean of samsara, the cycle of birth and death. And Swami appeared to be satisfied with this answer. And then came the revelation. Swami said, Sai is not the Guru or Sadguru, teacher of truth. He is the Jagat Guru, teacher of the world universe. Dear sisters, the world's population today, this morning, stands at almost 7.8 billion. And of that population, the Satyasai organization internationally has about 110 or 120,000 members worldwide, which is a mere 1.5% of the global population. If I may dare say this tiny fraction of the global population was chosen by Swami for his mission. He drew us to him. Just reflect on that for 1 second. We must truly count our blessings by the grace of Swami to deserve this Jagat Guru to be our personal Guru, guide, and master. On this day, 9 years ago, if Swami willed, he could have left the body in a second, but we could not have taken it. So he allowed us time to reconcile with the inevitable. And in that process, Swami being the master stroke player and being an embodiment of bliss, he used that period of 1 month to take the sins of humanity on his physical body and wash them away. So what's the evidence for this claim that I'm sharing with you? Another flashback. In 2003, when Swami had a fall and fracture in Vrindavan campus, one day, some of the devotees sitting at his lotus feet asked him, Swami, how can this happen to Swami? Bhagavan replied very gently, you cannot understand. Another elder asked, Swami, you are taking over the sins of humanity on your body? To this, Swami said sweetly, I have come for that very purpose, isn't it? Thus, we see, my dear brothers and sisters, even in his last act, he was always thinking about us, always thinking of taking over our burdens. So now what then could be our offering to our beloved Lord on this day of Aradhana? Another flashback. The final year students had organized a farewell fair in the Vrindavan campus, where Brother Sanjay was the former warden and he was invited. As he entered the fairgrounds, a student rushed up to him and said, Sairam sir, there's a fortune teller booth, why don't you come there? So Brother Sanjay went to that booth and there was the student sitting there, and the student said, Sairam sir, can you please pick up a slip of paper? He picked up one and expected a message, but it was blank. And he was a little perplexed to know. The boy then took the paper from the master, dipped it in the bowl of water, and he took it out and started drying it. And that process of drying brought a flashback to Brother Sanjay to the summer of 1972. It's a flashback within a flashback. There was a student in Prashanti sitting at the lotus feet of Bhagavan, and Swami casually asked him, what is the most cherished desire of your life? The boy didn't know how to answer. Swami then said, go and get a tumbler of water and a sheet of paper. Swami took the paper, rolled it like a pencil, and dipped into the tumbler of water. And the sheet became wet, obviously. He then put it in the boy's pocket. After a few minutes, as it dried, Swami asked him to read. The white sheet of paper now had a message, and he read, Swami, give me the strength to love you with all my heart. Brother Sanjay was reminded of that episode when this fortune teller boy at the booth was drying his slip of paper and was wondering what could be the message in store for him. And then the message slowly emerged from the paper. Brother Sanjay then shared this. He said this message was not for him alone, but a message for all of us who have dedicated ourselves in the divine mission of Bhagavan Baba. The message read, Bangaru, Golden One, you are doing my work, I love you. Signed, Baba. My dear brothers and sisters, if there is a take-home message for us on this holy day, I wish to propose this. First, a prayer with a desire. Swami, please give us the strength to love you with all my heart. And with that strength of prema, Swami's love, let us give our very best of talents expertise, skills, and knowledge that is verily his blessings, so that one day Swami may just whisper from within our hearts, Bangaru, you are doing my work. I love you. Signed, Baba. That is my message, my brothers and sisters. I hope we get something out of this. With this, I thank you all and Sairam. And now over to our dear brother, Dr. Seshan Shah.
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering my loving pranams at Swami's Divine Lotus feet. A very warm good evening to all of you in New Zealand. My greetings to you on this solemn Sri Satyasai Aradhana Day. It's been nearly a decade since our most beloved Swami culminated his sojourn on earth and went back to his supreme abode. I thank Brother Murli, the National President of the Sri Satyasai International Organization, New Zealand, for having me over to deliver the keynote address this day. Let me begin my talk with an experience which began when I joined Swami's University in 2002 for the MBA program. Among the first conversations that Swami had with me was this question that he asked me, where do you come from? I thought that was the introductory question with every student who joined Swami's University, because invariably Swami would ask, where do you come from? Where do you come from? It used to be a question with so much of concern. And hence I thought that that was also a way to commence the conversation with me. But interestingly, that question continued for the next 2 years. Invariably, Swami would ask me, where do you come from? And my answer would be Bombay, Swami. Certain times he would say, oh, Bombay, it is no longer Bombay, it has become Mumbai. So then I started saying, I come from Mumbai, Swami. So much so that for the first year or two, my name with respect to Swami's awareness of which boy we're talking about is that Bombay boy, that Bombay boy. That used to be the kind of conversation. So this went on. In 2003, Swami blessed me to accompany him to Kodaikanal. And there on the first day, that was the first question. Where do you come from? Bombay, Swami. Last day, last conversation. Where do you come from? Bombay, Swami. You can imagine what I would be going through, what I would be feeling as to why Swami is asking that question repeatedly to me. I completed my MBA. I had stood first in my class by Swami's grace. And Swami blessed me to do PhD, and I had registered for my MPhil program. And around that time, I started thinking to myself, why is Swami asking me this question again and again? Where do you come from? Where do you come from? So I started to do some research to find out what are the typical answers that Swami expects. And then I came to know that when Swami asks that question to primary school children, they usually say, Swami, we come from you. And Swami would say, wow, see these kids? They know that they have a divine origin. But you university students don't even know where you have come from. And when the university students would attempt that answer, Swami would say, bad boy, you are so big, I am so small, how can you come from me? So that used to be the kind of conversation that used to happen. But I thought that it was time for me to give an answer different from what I had been giving. And I thought that one day I will take the opportunity to answer the question the way maybe Swami expected from me. And that was the time when I was taking blessings from Swami in the Bhajan Hall for commencing my Masters of Philosophy program in Business Management. Again, Swami asked that question, where do you come from? And looking straight into Swami's eyes, I said, from you, Swami. He smiled. And from that day till the very end, he never asked me that question. Because I think the journey had begun. I had known the source of my journey, and I had to now work towards going back to that source. The entire journey, the entire purpose of life is to go back to where we have come from. That's the case even with railway engines and compartments, Swami would say, the railway engine and compartments have a date up to which they are good for use. And after that date, they have to go back to the yard and unmade and remade for a new purpose for which those spare parts can be used to begin a new journey afresh. So our journey in life is like that. We have to go back from where we have come. That is the case with all 84 lakh species of creation. But human beings are considered to be the crest jewel of creation. It is said, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham. Among all the 8.4 million species in this creation, human beings are the crest jewel of creation. Why is it so? Why are human beings considered so special? Swami had said this innumerable number of times, that the human beings are the crest jewel of creation. What is the reason Swami used to say that? What is the reason our scriptures say that? The reason for that is it is only human beings who have the capacity to use their buddhi, their intellect, in order to realize their true identity and merge back into their source, which is divinity. While animals live by instinct, human beings are the only species that are provided with intelligence, and that intelligence is to be used in order to achieve the mission statement of life. What is the mission statement of life? We are born so as not to be born again. The entire duration of our existence, since we become aware of our identity, of our purpose, should be towards accomplishing this particular vision, which is we are born so as not to be born again. Today is Aradhana Day. It is a day to remember this grand personality of Swami. For the world at large, Swami is a Yuga Purush, an individual who comes once in an era and does things which are unparalleled in a series of generations. For some of us devotees, most of us devotees, Swami is not just a Yuga Purush, he is verily Purushottama, divinity in human form, who came to set an ideal example as to how an ideal individual should live. Like Lord Krishna had said in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana. O Arjuna, in all the three worlds, I have no karma to work towards, I have no goals to achieve, and yet I incarnate time and again to set an ideal example so that humanity may learn from my example and work towards achieving the ultimate in human ascension, divinity itself. So that is the kind of message Swami lay before us in the 8.5 decades on his journey to this planet of dust. Every aspect of Swami's life gives such a grand message, whether it is his days as a child, as a student, whether it is days after he commenced his journey, his spiritual mission, whether his years spreading his message far and wide in every nook and corner of India, where Swami traveled 300,000 kilometers to spread the message of his avatar, or whether it is the establishment of the organization, the Satsai Seva organization, which today has 1 million active workers in India and 125 countries of the globe, and is among the most outstanding socio-spiritual organizations in India. And even the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, had reached out to our organization, both the Central Trust and the Seva organizations, to seek their help in dealing with the current pandemic of COVID-19. Or it is the establishment of the fantastic educational institutions, the schools, the colleges, the Sai spiritual education program, which is popular in India as Bal Vikas. And as per one figure that I have had from the All India President's office, nearly 75 lakh students, that's 7.5 million students, have gone through the Bal Vikas or the Sai spiritual education program in India alone in the last 50 years since its inception. And over 1 million have completed the 9-year diploma in Satyasai Bal Vikas. Or it is the healthcare institutions which started in a small way in the hospital in Prashantinilayam and took these grand proportions of the establishment of the 2 super specialty hospitals, which in the last 25 years have provided free care, health care, tertiary level care to 5 million OPD patients, outpatients, and provided 500,000 free complex surgeries in cardiology, neurology, urology, ophthalmology, gastroenterology, orthopedics, and so on and so forth, with a market value of nearly $1 billion. So that's the quantum of work that Swami has done in a lifetime, which is unprecedented, which is without a parallel. But the problem is we usually put a tag on Swami. Oh, Swami is divine, so he can do it. Swami always used to say, I have not used any of my divine powers to achieve anything that I have done. Swami did everything as a human being, limiting himself to the human form so that we may learn and get inspired from his example. In several talks that I have given, and for those who are interested, I would encourage you to go to YouTube, and there are nearly about 30 to 40 talks that I had given over the last several years in America, in India, on several aspects of Swami's message, his life, and what we can learn from that. And one of the things I often mention is these quantifications of the work that Swami has done, and also the fact, which I've mentioned in my book, Divine Love, which is published by the Book Trust at Prashanthi Nilayam, that in Swami's physical lifetime, Swami would have given personal interviews to nearly 1 million people. That is the kind of investment Swami has made in his physical lifetime for reaching out to the masses, inspiring them, sharing his message, establishing institutions, nurturing them, and laying before us an example that we can all emulate. These institutions are not going to solve world problems, but these institutions are definitely models and frameworks that can be emulated by others so that they can be replicated, the benefits can be multiplied, and the multitudes can benefit from the ideals that Swami has laid before us of free education, free healthcare, free drinking water, unity of religions, and above all, the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. However, in all of this, we forget a key message that Swami was consistently giving us for the last dozen years of his lifetime. Rarely is this discussed, but I think today is the day to talk about it because it's Aradhana Day. It's a day when Swami culminated his physical sojourn on earth. And hence it's also important to note how he prepared us in order to get ready for this exit. And what was the consistent message that Swami gave over the last dozen years of his physical lifetime. So the very first time, and I have made some notes to myself, which also consists of excerpts of the discourses Swami gave during these dozen years as to what he said on those occasions and how each of them were reminders in enabling us to know what? The theme of the talk today, the indweller, Satya Sai. That Swami is verily our indweller, that he is not the physical form that we see outside, the 5'3" human form that Swami had taken is not what Swami is limited to. He is verily the indweller present in all of us. So the very first time Swami mentioned about his exit in public as documented was on the 21st of February 1999. It was during a session in the Purnachandra Auditorium when he was talking with the students of the Prashanthi Nilayam campus and also the staff members on several aspects. Swami used to give these PC sessions, the equivalent to the Trai sessions, those that were given in Vrindavan. So Swami was talking there and in the course of the conversation, Swami said, and I quote, he said, "Everything is there in my hands. If I want, I can live till 96 years, or if I want, I can leave this body now itself." In the middle of a casual conversation, this observation came like a bolt from the blue. Nobody expected it. And Swami and some of the staff members there said, "Swami, at least for the sake of devotees, you should stay here as long as possible, 96 years or even more." So when Swami would not want to answer to that, he would either deflect the topic or he would usually say smilingly, "Shanti, Shanti, Shanti," which means that he doesn't want that conversation to proceed. But that conversation is definitely documented. It is there in the Students with Sai Conversations book. It is also mentioned on the Satyasai with Students blog, and I would encourage you to visit that blog. That blog consists of 1,500 articles which are based on the publications of the Satyasai hostel in the Prashant Nilayam campus, which cover experiences of students, Swami's message to students, Swami's conversation with students, several historical facts, songs, and lots of things which are of great use to young adults, SSC teachers, SSC students, and of course, the devotees at large. So it's mentioned there, and that's why I gave you the date. The next landmark occasion was Guru Purnima 2001. If you recollect, that was the time when Swami officially announced that from this day, I will not be giving Pad Namaskar. Till then, Pad Namaskar was considered to be our right. We could ask Swami. Swami would immediately, would by and large oblige. He would usually lift his robe and point towards his feet, encouraging devotees to take Pad Namaskar. He would also encourage touching his feet in the course of darshan, during the darshan. After that, that stopped, and you could not touch Swami's feet during darshan times by and large. And what did Swami say that day? Swami said, from today onward, and I'm reading it here from the discourse, I'm not going to give Pad Namaskar to anybody because I and you are one. God is present in all. He is the indweller of all beings, Ishvara Sarva Bhutana. Understand this truth. If you still want to do Namaskar, do it mentally. Bring your palms together and say, Swami, I offer my 10 senses to you. That is enough. You don't need to touch my feet to do Namaskar. Understand the truth that God is in you and act accordingly. Then you become God. The journey towards, to literally push us towards that goal of realizing that Swami is verily our indweller had already begun. He was distancing us from himself. And from the year 2003, when Swami suffered his first physical injury and his movements became restricted from there on the Guru Purnima occasion, the entire focus of the discourse was give up body attachment and develop Atmic consciousness. From then on, repeatedly Swami kept on saying, I am not this body. Satyasai is not the body. Satyasai is the principle, and he is verily in you as well. You and I are one. That was the consistent message that Swami was giving, preparing us. He was distancing himself in terms of darshan, in terms of the number of interviews, in terms of the frequency of discourses, in terms of his travel, accessibility, everything. Extremely gradually the process had begun. In 2005, I remember, so I was again blessed to be with Swami in Kodaikanal. A senior devotee from Coimbatore, Mr. Naidu, he's no more, he passed away. He used to take care of Swami's residence in Coimbatore. He prayed to Swami during a session, the Kodai session. We were all seated with Swami in Sai Shruti Mandir. Everybody was in a great mood. Swami was very happy. And I still remember that scene is very fresh in front of my eyes. Swami, everybody was very happy. And so Mr. Naidu said, Swami, everybody is so happy here. Swami should stay in Kodaikanal for at least 15 more days. I was sitting right near Swami's feet, and Swami looked at him and at all of us, and he said, 15 more days? Then what about my work? So we thought Swami is going to start some new project, and maybe Swami wants to go back and quickly commence that work. Exactly 15 days later, when Swami was in Vrindavan, that morning, he apparently suffered a fall, and again, he was restricted in his movements for at least 1 month thereafter. So the life of our most beloved master is full of mysteries, but if one would attempt to reflect on each of these occasions, the message was very distinctly to prepare us in order to be able to see and experience Sai as our indweller. Another example, 2007, Kodaikanal. Again, I was blessed to be with Swami. I remember usually the tradition was that Swami would come to Kodaikanal from Vrindavan. In 2003, when we went, we actually boarded the flight there, Indian Airlines flight from the Bangalore airport, the HAL airport, and we came back to Vrindavan as well. So it was that, like in 2005, we boarded the Indian Airlines flight from Prashantinilayam airport, but we landed back in Vrindavan. In 2007, we boarded the flight from Prashantinilayam, and we thought that we would be going back to Vrindavan because that was how it used to be. And some of the staff members who were blessed to be with Swami there were pleading with Swami to come to Vrindavan, because Swami was not mentioning about his visit to Vrindavan, and he was casually having conversations about plans in Prashantinilayam and all of that. So towards the end of the visit, they started pleading with him, Swami, please come to Vrindavan. It's been several months that you've come to Vrindavan, so on and so forth. And Swami was somehow brushing aside that topic and said, no, I'll come later, I'll come again. I have to go to Prashantinilayam, I have some work, etc. The Vrindavan program never happened. Swami came to Prashantinilayam on the 18th of May. And exactly on the 4th day since we came back, I distinctly remember, on the 22nd of May 2007, Swami's beloved Sai Gita, the elephant, passed away. Probably that was the reason why Swami did not go to Vrindavan but came to Prashantinilayam, because he wanted to be there for her in her last moments and also supervise her last rites. On the next day, on 23rd of May, Swami came to the planetarium complex where Sai Gita's body was lying. Swami materialized Vibhuti. It was 7:30 in the morning. Swami was in tears. He materialized Vibhuti. He spread that Vibhuti on her body, and very lovingly he was caressing her head as if she was still there, and as if she was a human being who was verily his daughter, and he was caressing the Sai Gita's head, and Swami was very, very emotionally moved. Swami went back, again came at about 10:30. A crane had been arranged to put Sai Gita's to lay Sai Gita's body to rest in a specially prepared pit right at the place which was her residence, which is in the planetarium complex even today. And for that entire 2-hour period, when the crane was with great difficulty shifting the Sai Gita's body from where it was lying to the pit, Swami was there, consistently supervising the whole process. Swami, to the best of my knowledge, Swami has never been to anybody's funeral, including his own parents, his own brothers. But like Shirdi Baba, who was there for the funeral of his favorite horse, Shyam Karna, Swami was there for the funeral of his favorite elephant, Sai Gita. A week later, the academic year began, and Swami came to the University Prashantinilayam campus auditorium on the 1st of June 2007 to address the students. And in the course of the conversation, in the course of the discourse, Swami started talking about Sai Gita's demise, and he became very emotional when he was talking. And he said in his discourse, and Professor Anil Kumar was translating, that you all know my daughter Sai Gita passed away last week. I went to her in her last moments, and she told me, Swami, you are not going to be in this world for a very long period now. I cannot imagine living in a world when you are physically not going to be there. So I'm leaving before you. I still remember Professor Anil Kumar refused to translate that, pleading with Swami that Swami should not say something like that, and that's we all want Swami to be with us for a long, long period of time. Swami changed the topic and the discourse continued, but he very subtly left a hint that he was planning to exit much earlier than we thought he would. Next, 2008, 6th of March, Swami was giving the Shivaratri discourse, and Swami said, for the last 1 month, Ishwaramma and Pedavenkama Raju, that is Swami's parents, physical parents, are coming to me regularly and are pleading with me that Swami should come back to Vaikuntham. That's what Swami said. And he also said that, and after a long time, Swami for the first time mentioned about the triune Sai avatar, about the role of Shirdi Sai, about the role of Satyasai, and about the future role of Premasai. And he said that Premasai will bring about complete unity of mankind. I have completed the purpose for which I had incarnated. Again, a very subtle hint on the kind of plans that were going to unfold before us in the subsequent few years. 2008, again, another landmark occasion, 9th of October. It was the Vijayadashmi day. And after a very long time, Swami dedicated an entire discourse underlying his divinity. I would urge you to go and look at that discourse. Here I have the excerpt. Swami very unambiguously said, Lord Satyanarayana, and I'm quoting here, Lord Satyanarayana is also called Vishnu. Lord Vishnu has incarnated as Satyanarayana in this world. Hence, Satyanarayana is verily Lord Vishnu. This has been explained in the Vishnu Puran. You must understand his true nature, his tattva well. He warned the devotees thereafter that they should not take his words lightly. I guess, despite the repeated messages that Swami was giving to us in his discourses, he felt that we were not reflecting on his message, on his very clear instructions. And Swami said, and I quote, Satyanarayana is a unique avatar. Though he appears to be an ordinary human being, people often commit the mistake of taking him to be an ordinary human since he very closely interacts with them at the human level. Whatever he speaks is truth, truth and nothing but truth. People do not follow my words properly. They take my words lightly, thinking to be a joke or fun. Whatever I speak, even if it is a joke or for fun, it is truth and truth only. Unfortunately, people are not recognizing this truth. How many of us even remember this message that Swami had given? I was right there in the third block listening to Swami's discourse after that long vigil, all-night vigil. And Swami was very, very distinctly shaking us up and telling us to take his message and his words very, very seriously. A year later, again on the Shivratri day, 23rd February 2009, Swami made a very, very startling comment. Again, I'm quoting him. Swami rarely spoke about avatars leaving his body and going. Swami would talk about the Leelas of Rama, the Leelas of Krishna, Shirdi Baba himself. Very rarely would Swami mention specifically about the avatar's exit. But that day, Swami very distinctly mentioned about the avataric exits. And I quote, I have the excerpt from the discourse here. Swami said, the physical vestures last for a particular period and then cease to exist. Divinity takes different forms later. For example, you are now attached to this physical body. You worship this body and derive great satisfaction and bliss thereby. But after some time, this body may disappear like the earlier avatars. Then you should not feel sad. When the divine Atma embodied in this physical body reaches its eternal abode, it is a matter of joy, not sorrow. In the Treta Yuga, the Rama avatar came. He went into exile in the forest and destroyed several demons, including the great demon king Ravana. Finally, having fulfilled his avataric mission, he went to the Saryu river and disappeared. The same is the case in the Dwapar Yuga with Lord Krishna, who left his mortal coil after having been hit by the arrow of a hunter in the forest. Thus, the physical vestures are always temporary and untrue. From the time when Swami asserted in the 1960s that go and tell the whole world that God lives in Prashanti Nilayam, and if they want to experience God and progress in their spiritual journey, they must visit Prashanti Nilayam and listen to the message of the avatar of the age. In 50 years, Swami had prepared humanity in order to focus now on the message that the avataric principle had communicated using this beautiful form, and was preparing us that that beautiful form is not going to be permanent. It's a vesture taken up for giving a message, for accomplishing a mission, and the true identity of the avatar is his tattva, his very principle, and not the physical body that he uses to communicate that. Such great pains that Swami took in order to prepare us for that particular transition from the form to the formless. I remember on Ugadi Day 2010, Swami announced an expansion of the Central Trust. The Medical Trust was merged into the Central Trust. The Council of Management and the Board of Trustees of Central Trust was expanded to include a few more members. And there were several arrangements that were made which were more of an institutional nature. There's also this instance where I believe on the morning of 85th birthday, before Swami was coming to the Hillview Stadium to deliver, to give darshan to the thousands that had gathered there for the 85th birthday, when Swami was leaving, Swami said, "Oh, I'm so happy. Today is 95th birthday, 95th birthday." We also remember that very, what word should I use? Disturbing sight. I was right there in front of Swami in the third block in Kulwant Hall when on the 20th of March 2011, after the bhajans were over and the aarti was over and Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu was being said, Swami folded his hands in all the three directions as if he is bidding us farewell, goodbye. There's only one more darshan that Swami gave after that, and two more darshans Swami gave after that, 23rd and 25th of March. And that's it. We never got to see the physical form of our beloved Bhagavan. Very few know that in the previous quarter in casual conversations, Swami had also given very clear instructions, much to the displeasure of those around him, about his samadhi, the direction of his head, of his feet, and several other things about the last journey. Nobody knew that this was going to come so soon and that Swami was very, very meticulously planning his exit. In fact, he was planning that since almost a dozen years. I'm reminded of this particular experience which one of my juniors had shared with us in the year 2007 or so, or roundabout. There was this drama in the Sai Kulwant Hall on the life of Shirdi Sai Baba by the school students. And in that particular drama, the students had shown that episode where Shirdi Sai Baba is lying in state for 3 days. All the devotees have gathered around and they're singing bhajans. They are all very happy. They're all very sad and anxious that Shirdi Baba is lying in state for 3 days, and they're worried whether he will come back to his physical form or not. And they're fervently praying to Baba that he should come back and once again bless them with his physical proximity. At the end of the 3 days, Shirdi Baba comes back to life and spends several more years with the devotees in Shirdi. Just when that scene was over, Swami took a break and went to the interview room. In the interview room, he told the students who were attending to him, "Did you see that incident?" They said, "Yes, Swami." Swami said, just like Shirdi Baba's body was lying in state for 3 days, this body also will be lying in state for 3 days. But like Shirdi Baba came back to life after 3 days, this body will not come back to life after 3 days. The students around, those who were attending to him, were very upset because who would like to hear such things from Swami? They said, "No, Swami, why are you talking about all this? There is still long time. Another 15 years are there. So Swami should not talk about this just now." So Swami immediately changed the topic. He said, "Yes, yes, very happy, very happy." And then they again went out for completing the rest of the drama. So very, very clearly, Swami was giving hints to different individuals at different points in time. I can share one of my own examples, and I'm sure several students have their own examples of how Swami in some form or the other gave them some kind of an indication, but they realized that only when the eventuality was right in front of them. So in my case, it happened in the year 2007. In April 2007, when I commenced my PhD, my doctoral research, and I completed my first month, I had written a note of gratitude to Swami. And at that time in the bhajan hall, Swami called me and then he was talking to me. And in the course of the conversation, he asked, "What is your PhD on? How long will you take?" So on and so forth. The question answer went on for a long time. And then he said, "How long will you take to finish your PhD?" I said, "Swami, 3 years." So then Swami thought for a few seconds. And then he again looked back at me. He was sitting on his throne. He said, "Try to complete it in 2.5 years." I said, "Swami, whatever you say." Then immediately he said, "I am not telling you to finish fast so that the university can save the stipend to be given to you." See the sensitivity that Swami had expressed. "I'm not saying that so that the stipend is saved. I'm saying that because it is good for you." So I said, "Swami, with your grace, I will try and finish in 2.5 hours. So he said, "Yes, yes, definitely." And then he patted my back and a few more questions. And then we concluded and I went back to my place in the bhajan hall. And because Swami had very clearly said 2.5 years, I planned my entire research, data collection, analysis, writing of the thesis and all of that in such a way that I complete as guided by Swami. And as a result of that, on 22nd of November 2010, I was blessed to receive the PhD degree from Swami's own hands. In the call order, I was the very last candidate who received the degree from the revered founder chancellor on the convocation day that year. My viva was conducted just a week before on 13th of November. And then on 22nd of November, I got my degree from Swami's own hands. In 2011 April, on 24th, this very day, Swami concluded his journey. This hit me like a thunderbolt and said that 4 years earlier, in April 2007, Swami instructed me that try and complete your PhD in 2.5 years. If Swami would not have given such clear instructions, I might have taken a longer period to finish, and as a result of that, I would not have been able to get the degree from Swami's own physical hands. So very, very clearly, distinctly, Swami was giving us instructions. I still remember all of those years when Swami used to go around in the chair and people used to reach out to his feet to take darshan. Swami always used to do like this. He used to point to his heart and keep his lip movement would indicate lopala cheyandi, lopala cheyandi. Do pad namaskar within, do pad namaskar within, andar se karo. So that was the constant message. The entire withdrawal was a part of the divine plan to enable us to experience, at least to start looking at the Sai within. Because the form in front of us was so beautiful, was so enamoring, was so attractive, was so charming, was so loving, that we were so attached to that form that the message that that form was giving had become a second priority. But the form was taken by the avataric principle only to give a message. And that's why he used the last dozen years to shake us up so that we get ready to work towards the message that he had come to give. Swami always used to say, I give you what you want so that you may finally want what I have come to give. For his entire life, Swami continued to give us what we wanted so that ultimately we may want what he had come to give, which is liberation itself. This is a question which each one of us needs to ask ourselves. Are we still looking up to Swami to give us what we want? Or are we looking up to Swami to receive what he wants to give us? I think that is the true tribute that we can pay to Swami on the occasion of the Aradhana Day. That let us use our lives, our priorities, our journey, our relationship with Swami henceforth so that we may focus not on what we want from Swami, but what Swami wants to give us, which is ultimately our spiritual emancipation, our deliverance, our liberation. That's the purpose for which he had taken this incarnation. I now move to the second part of today's agenda. There are several things connected with the theme which I wanted to cover, but as an opportunity to cover them as a part of the Q&A. Many members from across New Zealand, devotees, have sent the questions which they wanted to ask, and many of them are resonating with the theme of seeing the Sai within, or experiencing the Swami within, or Swami as the indweller. So I'll cover some of the other things or experiences that I want to share in the form of this question answer. So here we go. There are 9 questions and I'll take them one by one. So the first question, and I'm reading it out. If God is the indweller in all and God is love, how do we reconcile with COVID-19 when the death toll from this aspect of divinity that's inherent in the microcosm of the virus now stands at 154,000? I had given this talk, Formula for Overcoming Fear, to the devotees from California, and I have covered in great detail on how we can overcome fear. But in our overwhelming concern about the current COVID-19 pandemic, we forget that this is not the only difficulty that humanity is facing or has faced, because the press and the global media is throwing these figures at us regularly in order to enable us to be aware of the seriousness of the situation. We feel that other than this, there is no other serious situation that humanity is facing or has faced in the past. If Swami is love, why is the virus killing us? If Swami was love, why did the Spanish flu kill 50 million people? If Swami is love and that divinity resides in each one of us, why is it that excuse me, why is it that 100 million people died in the 2 world wars that humanity witnessed in the last century? If Swami is divine, he's love, and he's resident in the viruses and the bacteria that cause our death, why is it that every single day nearly 2,000 people die in India due to tuberculosis, malaria and cancer? In the last 15 years alone, 1 crore, that is 10 million people have died in India to these 3 diseases alone. If Swami is divine and he's love and he's present in each of the individuals, why is it that every month 50,000 people in the United States of America die due to cardiac arrest? We need to look at some of these figures, and then we need to stop this blame game that whatever bad is happening is because of God and his will. No. Good and bad both are the divine will, but good and bad are also an outcome of what man has done to himself. In the classic interview that Swami gave to R.K. Karanjia, the leftist journalist who came to question Swami and his claims, and went back as a devotee and wrote a book, God Lives in India, and that book is available online even now. Swami said in that whatever the natural calamities that mankind is facing today, whether it is earthquakes or droughts or famines or excessive rain or whatever, is not because of what God has made of man, but it is because of what man has made of himself, because of the misuse and the misdeeds of the man against fellow humanity and nature, that these catastrophes are coming again and again. So the way to look at it is to reflect on the responsibility that each one of us have in order to look at nature with reverence. In fact, the entire Ramayana, Swami has mentioned in the Ramakatha Rasvahini, that the entire Ramayana, the message is that of reverence for Prakriti or nature, where Rama stands for Paramatma or divinity, Sita stands for nature or Prakriti, and Ravana stands for those of us who have no respect or reverence for Prakriti. When we misuse Prakriti, when we distance Prakriti, when we do not revere Prakriti as an aspect of Paramatma, That is when these things come upon us in order to awaken us to realize that Prakriti does not have to be optimized and utilized, but has to be revered and used in the most optimal way possible. I think the Sealing on Desires program is one way in which Swami has communicated that. Also, very popular example that Swami always used to give is that whatever happens to us in life, God is not responsible for that. God is a postman. If the postman delivers a parcel to you, if it has good news, do you distribute sweets to the postman? No, you don't. Because whatever is the content of that particular parcel or the letter, it is because of the efforts that you have put in. Similarly, if there are bad contents, negative contents, sad news, do we thrash the postman saying that how dare you give such information to me? We don't do that because we are responsible for that. Swami used to say God is like a postman. You will get the contents as per the actions that you have undertaken. So instead of questioning God in that virus, let us awaken the God within us and try and look at all this in a much more holistic fashion and say that good and bad will always remain in creation. This question was asked by one of the teachers to Swami in Trai Vrindavan. Swami, when will there be a time when there will be all good and no bad? Swami's one word answer was never. There will never be a time when there will be all good and no bad. Good and bad are the balancing forces in nature. The yin and yang. Both are required to balance nature. It's only when the black hair that the contrasting face is more clearly visible. It is only because of the darkness of the night that the beauty of the moon can be appreciated. So these are balancing forces. Then what should we do, Swami? The teacher asked Swami in Trai Vrindavan. Swami said, in every situation like this, you should pray to God that though good and bad both may exist, let me always be on the side of good. Let me always be on the side of Dharma. That is what the life of Rama says. That is what the message Lord Krishna gave to Arjuna. That whatever comes, we must always be on the path of Dharma. That is what we can do at best. Next question. We know in theory this aspect of God is within us always, yet most fail to a degree on the constant integrated awareness. How do we develop and nurture and keep the momentum going on that awareness? One of the devotees in the interview room had asked Swami, he was from Canada, said, Swami said, yes. He said, Swami, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. Swami, I do not feel your presence when I go back to my home in Canada. Why is it so? So Swami smiled at him and said, let me ask you a counter question. He said, yes, Swami. Swami said, do you feel your own presence when you are at your home in Canada? This man was stunned. Swami said, when you do not feel your own presence when you are all alone, because your thoughts, your desires and your mind is totally distracted, how will you ever feel my presence? If you can feel your presence, then that means you are feeling my presence because I and you are one. Such a potent message that we usually tend to distinguish between us and Swami. We are not different from Swami. We are verily, actually Swami is the perfected form of our imperfected selves, and we are the diluted form of the perfect Swami. That is the relationship that each one of us have with Swami, and that's what Swami had come to make us. I remember an experience which I often share when Swami was very upset with students, and the Vice Chancellor, Professor Sampath, was pleading with Swami, Swami, please forgive them, the students, their age, their stage, they are not able to appreciate Swami's discipline. Swami said, no. Do you know why I'm upset with them? Said Swami, because they're not following the university discipline to your expectations. Swami said, no, because I want each one of them to be like, Swami pointed at himself. Being like me does not mean wearing an orange robe or having a mop of hair. Being like me means being divine from top to toe. That is the expectation that I have from each of my students and devotees. Unfortunately, they are wasting their time in trivial pursuits and not utilizing this opportunity which has come to them after lots and lots of endeavors over several lifetimes. That is the kind of efforts that we need to make. Another anecdote connected with that. There was this lady, this was shared by Swami Avadheshananda. He's the Mahamandaleshwar of the Juna Akhada, the congregation of sages and sannyasis established by Sri Adi Shankaracharya, who live in the northern parts of India and in the Himalayas. A lady asked him that, Swamiji, whenever I close my eyes, I am not able to focus on God. Why is it so? So the answer he gave was that is because for the last 60 years of your life with open eyes, you have made no attempts to look for God, to look at God. The last 60 years of your experience has been only to look at the world. So when you close your eyes, all that you have seen for 60 years is all that is reflected. When you are able to look at God with open eyes, will that practice help you to focus on Him with closed eyes? Such a important message, that we presume that we may do anything with open eyes in our waking hours, in our working life. But the moment we close our eyes, we should be able to focus on God. This is quite a misnomer, and I'll come to that a little later. We are having a predominant focus on the pravritti marga, the outward view to things. If we want to see God within, if we want to have Him, if we want to experience that God within us, we need to invest in the nivritti marga. I'll come to that a little later in the process of the Q&A. Next question, sub part of this question, connected. Do you have any tips on silencing the mind and connecting with the Sai within during meditation? I'm reminded of a conversation which Swami Vivekananda had with one of his disciples. One of the devotees who had visited him. That devotee asked Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji, my first guru taught me to close my eyes and meditate on the formless aspect of God. After he passed away, I went to the other guru. He taught me to close my eyes and reflect and concentrate on the form of God with a form. So first was Nirguna worship, the second was Saguna worship, and now that Guruji also has passed away. I am having problems with my meditation, so I have come to you to get your guidance on what I should do to meditate well. So what did Swami Vivekananda say? Swami Vivekananda said, okay, now will you do as I tell you to? So this youth said yes. Swami Vivekananda said, okay. First thing is, when you sit for meditation, don't close your eyes. Open your eyes. Get up from your asana. Open the door of your puja room. Get out of the puja room into the house. Open the door of your house and go outside on the road. And when you go out on the road, you will see hundreds of people there who will need your help in assuaging their problems of hunger, of thirst, of disease, of anxiety, problems of a variety of kinds that they would be facing. Go and help them. That is the best meditation that you can do. I think this is a very important example for all of us. If we are having problems of concentration, let us at least focus all our concentration on doing seva, on actively focusing on how we can help others. And that's why our organization has 3 wings. And if we are not able to progress in a particular aspect of the organizational mandate, let us focus on the other and do our best so that we may excel in that. In 1990, during the summer course, Swami said, meditation, meditation, everybody keeps saying meditation. What is meditation? Today, everybody is giving lots and lots of techniques to do meditation. In my opinion, meditation has 2 steps. So everybody thought that Swami is going to give a shortcut to meditation, 2-step meditation. Swami said, step number 1, shut your mouth. Step number 2, open your hearts. This is the meditation I want you to do. So insightful. Shut your mouth. Shut all the outward tendencies that you have in order that you use for the purpose which you keep chatter all the time. And open your heart. Open your heart and love everybody. Open your heart and learn to see God in everybody. It is then that you will be able to experience that divinity within and reflect on that divinity within. So that is very, very important. The problem is that even while doing our mundane activities, our mind is all over the place. Have you observed that? How concentratedly are we able to do our mundane activities? Even when we are typing something as part of our work, every 2 minutes our hand will go on the cell phone. What WhatsApp message has come? What is the latest news? What is the update on the figure of COVID-19 cases? So on and so forth. How focused are we even on our mundane tasks? If we cannot be focused on our mundane tasks, how will we be able to focus on God or on our object of meditation when we close our eyes? I mean, Swami was one of the best examples whom we can learn. When Swami used to talk to someone, only that person existed for him. He would talk to him as if none except him existed in the world at that point in time. Can we develop that kind of one-pointedness in our mundane activities? If yes, then we'll be able to focus on him better and silence our mind in our meditation. The third connected question to this is, while discussing one of the quotes, it was mentioned, we won't be thinking or doing anything which is not good if we remember the omnipresence of Swami. How can we always remember Swami is omnipresent? So first, I think, is the example that Swami, the answer that Swami gave to the devotee from Canada. Let us feel our presence. Let us feel that we are not this body, that we are residing in this body. The Sankhya Yoga in Bhagavad Gita says, and I would encourage you to read that up, that we have been given 24 instruments. Which are they? The Pancha Jnanendriyas, the Pancha Karmendriyas, the Pancha Pranas, and the Pancha Koshas. This makes it 20. And then the 4 Antakarnas, Manas, Chitta, Buddhi, Ahankara. The mind, the subconscious mind, the intellect, and the faculty which gives us body identification. These are the 24 instruments that have been given to whom? The 25th element, which is the Jivatma. The Jivatma has all these 24 instruments in order to achieve the 26th, which is Paramatma. So the Jivatma has all of these as the tools available to him to achieve the single pointed goal of attaining divinity. Are we able to feel ourselves as that 25th element and all of these aspects as our instruments? Swami always used to say, you are not the mind is not your master. You are the master. Master the mind and be a mastermind. If you do as the mind tells you to, you are a slave. Exactly, because all these instruments are given to us to achieve an objective. But what happens is that we subserve these instruments in the vagaries that they force upon us, and ultimately we are not using them for the purpose for which they have been given. So I think in order to experience Swami's omnipresence, we first need to realize and remind ourselves again and again that we are verily the Atma within. I think that's the true spiritual activity that each one of us needs to undertake. Bhajan, Namasmarana, Seva, meditation, all of these are meant to help us experience that we are essentially the Atma Tattva. But having undertaken and consistently undertaking these activities, we must consciously live in that presence that we are not this body, but we are living in this body. And then when we know that we are living in this body and we are verily an aspect of the divinity, as said in the Narayana Suktam, as said in the Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna had said, Mama Ivamsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatana. It is verily a part of my eternal being that is present in all the beings of creation. We verily know that the Atma in us is verily Krishna himself. I still remember my grandfather, late grandfather, Professor Chandrahas Shah, had asked Swami in one of the interviews in 1980, April 1980, he said, Swami, today is Thursday. Please accept me as your disciple and you become my guru. Swami touched his heart like that. Swami said, no, no, no. I am not your guru. Your conscience is your guru. Always follow the conscience. How much aware are we that that divinity is present always with us as our conscience, guiding us and warning us to be on the right path all the time? The other aspect of this is, of course, it's very good to live in this awareness that Swami is always there, and that will come with practice. But every time we are doing something, anytime we are doing something, we should always think, if Swami was here, how would we have acted? How would we have reacted? What would we have been our decision? What would we have been our priority? This compartmentalized life that we live on Thursdays and Sundays, when we go to the center, we behave in a different way. Our priorities, our dress code, our food, our habits is different compared to the remaining 5 days when we are at work, when we are with our family. But true spirituality, Swami said, is to spiritualize your daily life. We need to bring Swami into our daily life in every moment and constantly live in that awareness that he is watching over us. Then all the decisions we take, the reactions, the priorities, etc., everything will be dharmic and in alignment with him. As far as Swami being present everywhere, the answer is given, or the avatar tattva, the Paramatma tattva being present everywhere, the answer is given in the Brahmananda Valli. Akashad Vayuhu Vayor Agni Agnir Apa Adyav Prithvi Prithivya Aushadaya Aushadibhyo Annam Annat Purushaha. Among the 5 elements, earth is the heaviest. Lighter than earth is water. Lighter than water is fire. Lighter than fire is wind. Lightest is ether. And as the weight decreases, the presence increases. And so earth is very limited, whereas ether is almost present everywhere. Lighter than ether is the Atma from which it has come. And if the ether, which is the lightest among the tangible 5 elements, is present everywhere, it is very obvious that the Atma from which all of this has come is omnipresent. So this is the scriptural logic to convince ourselves that Swami or Atma or the Paramatma Tattva is omnipresent. Next question. When were you convinced that Swami is God? I find this question a little humorous. A lot of people keep asking each other, oh, when did you realize finally that Swami is God? We use this word God so casually, as if we know exactly what are the characteristics of God. We've exactly understood how Swami is, and then we transpose one on the other and say, okay, because God should be like this, this is how Swami is, so Swami is God. The most popular formula in recent times is miracles plus experiences of omniscience plus social service projects equals to avatar. The standard formula that people have kind of ascribed to what Swami's divinity is. And this formula is flawed right from the beginning. Why? Because Swami trivialized his miracles as being a mosquito on the back of the elephant, just as his visiting cards. Swami, the experiences of omniscience that we think is a sign of divinity is something which is revealed or given by all the great saints and sages. Vyasa, Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, Valmiki, all of them were omniscient. All of them were able to see into the future. All of them were able to see in the past. And yet they yearned for the presence of divinity. So that means that omniscience is not the only quality of divinity. It is a quality of an ascended soul as well. Lastly, social welfare projects. Oh, because Swami has done water project, university, schools, organization, drinking water. So anybody who does that, or any individual who is undertaking social welfare projects, is divine. By that measure, most of the huge corporate foundations like the Rockefeller Foundation or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which have far larger monetary budgets than our organization, should also qualify to being divine. But that's where we make the blunder. Divinity has nothing to do with any of these things. The power of divinity is in its presence, because the presence enables you to experience that unquantifiable feeling of love that you can never express in words. It was to experience that all these great saints and sages yearn to be in the presence of avatars like Krishna and Rama. And I think that's true for all of us. So yes, I did experience this right from my childhood when I first went to Prashantalam at the age of 2. And over the next 3 decades, I continued to have that kind of an experience. But probably I did not have the maturity in order to benefit from that to the quantum I should have or I could have, because even the soul matures with sadhana, with self-effort, and with understanding. So I can say with the hand on my heart that I was consistently making efforts in order to benefit the most from what Swami had to give and to experience his presence and his love at every given opportunity. Whether that means that I'm convinced of Swami as God or not is something I would not like to qualify, because I feel we have no right to compartmentalize Swami, because we really don't know who Swami is. Our problem is we say Swami is God, and so he is divine, and so whatever he says is right, whatever we do is fine, he will forgive, we will continue to make mistakes, I am your devotee, you are God, and our journey continues. Swami's equation was very different. Not only am I God, but you also are God. I know I am God, you do not know, I have come to tell you that you are God. That is the kind of conviction that we should have and we should work towards, because then we are achieving the purpose for which Swami took this incarnation. I remember in 2011 when Swami was in the hospital, I got this dream. I was sitting in the Sai Kulbanthal. I was the chief editor of the Swami's University's publications division, and I was editing discourses. And in that dream, while I was editing a discourse, we came out with this series of books called My Dear Students. So in the dream, I was sitting and editing that particular discourse, and all the students who were sitting around me all of a sudden started looking beyond me. So I was thinking why they're looking towards me and then behind me, and then I turned behind. And in my dream, I see Swami standing there. And Swami looked at me and he said, very good, I'm very happy. You must ensure that people understand my message in the right context. Probably I was editing the discourse. That was what it meant. It also gave me an objective, a mission for the rest of the years ahead. And I realized that a month later when Swami concluded his earthly sojourn. And ever since, I have continued to make efforts in order to understand his message more and more so that I am able to benefit from it. One of the things which I used to do, which I encourage everybody to do, was to listen to Swami's discourses. I used to go almost every evening for long walks. I used to plug in, and for that entire hour while I was walking, I used to listen to an entire discourse of Swami and try and assimilate and reflect on what Swami is trying to tell. This was not ad hoc. I used to do it in a structured way. This involved taking a summer course, 15 discourses, or taking discourses during Dasara, or taking 10-15 discourses of a particular Kodaikanal season. And all of these are available in the Book Trust website. So this will enable us to reflect better about Swami as God, and we ourselves too moving towards our divine destiny. Next question. I saw this video yesterday where Swami says we spend a lot of time doing meditation, but we can steady our mind in 11 seconds. Can you please explain how to do this? I think there are a lot of meditation oriented sadhakas and devotees in New Zealand, because almost every alternate question or every subsequent question has some form of meditation or not. But I think the questions are coming because there has not been much effort made on reading Swami's message in depth. Since we are not face to face, I'd like to ask all those who are attempting to indulge in meditation as a serious sadhana, as to how many of you all have seriously studied the Dhyana Vahini, which is Swami's treatise on meditation. If you would have, then you would know that dharana, or that 11 seconds concentration that Swami said, is the 6th step in the Ashtanga Yoga. What are the total 8 steps? Yama, which is self-restraint; Niyama, which is self-regulation; Asana, which is all the postures and exercises that we undertake; then Pranayama, the breathing exercises; then Pratyahara, control of senses; then Dharana, 11 seconds focus; then Dhyana, 11 into 11, 121 seconds focus; Then Samadhi, 120, 11 into 11 into 11, 1331, a little above 20 minutes, Samadhi. This is Ashtanga Yoga. And if we want to develop that focus for 11 seconds, it's not going to come one day, okay, now I'll focus for 11 seconds, as I gave that lady's example. We have to first fulfill some of the prerequisites, and in the process, we'll be able to progress on all of these. What is Yama? Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya. These are the 5 requirements of Yama. Non-violence, truth, non-stealing, non-accumulation, and Brahmacharya. Doesn't mean being a celibate, but being focused on God as a priority. Brahmana acharati iti brahmachari. The one who prioritizes God and lives like him in all that he does, that is Brahmacharya. And Niyama, Shaucha, purity, internal and external, very important in the COVID days. Santosha, contentment. Swadhyaya, study of scriptural and spiritual literature. Tapas, penance. And Ishvara Pranidhana, surrendering to the will of God. These are the 2 fundamental pillars which Swami had given a detailed discourse, which is there on the blog, to students of the higher secondary school, classes 8 to 12. At that age and stage, Swami had put for spotlight on this, that they should know what these stand for. How much effort have we made to study this and equip ourselves so that we are able to move to the subsequent stages of meditation? Without learning alphabets, I think sentence construction is not going to be possible. Similarly, we need to take baby steps. What happens very often? Spirituality is treated like an ATM machine, anytime machine. You put in a card of a question and you get the answer. Swami always used to say, all this will come through practice, abhyasa. We have to practice. Singing practice, dancing practice, speaking practice, writing practice. Spirituality is also practice. If we spend 21, 22 years of our life to get a graduate degree, are we spending 1/10 that amount to focus on achieving success in our spiritual endeavors? If not, that's something we need to reflect on. Next, another 5-7 minutes, I'll complete the remaining 3 questions. Swami has so lovingly explained the purpose of our life is to discover our inherent divinity. How to maintain intensity while doing our sadhana to achieve this goal. Once a disciple asked a guru the same question. What should I do to develop intensity? So the guru said, okay, I'll take you outside today to answer your question. So the guru took this disciple and they both went to the nearby pond in that village. As they were approaching the pond, the guru took the pond, they were sitting on the banks of the pond. The guru then all of a sudden took that disciple's head and shoved it inside the water. And this disciple was struggling for breath. He was hitting his hands and legs and he was just struggling to come out of the thing. But this guru was a well-built man. He just didn't let him come out. Just at the right time when he thought that he won't be able to survive, he pulled him out. So this disciple was looking at his guru without saying anything, but almost wanting to say, what the hell do you think you are doing? I asked you for spiritual guidance and you are almost murdering me. So the guru said, I am giving you the answer to your question. Just as you were struggling with all intensity and focus because you were not able to breathe in the water of the pond, you have to continuously be aware that you are drowning in this samsara and that you need to hold on to divinity, and for that you will do anything to push out of this samsara and catch hold of that so that you have that breath of fresh air and you can survive. That is the way to maintain intensity. How much intense are we? For us, spirituality is like, again, as I said, Thursday, Sunday activity. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the great saint devotee of West Bengal, had said this. He said, someone asked him, how long will it take to realize God? Ramakrishna said, just 3 days. How, Swamiji? Ramakrishna said, if you have the love that a miser has for wealth, if you have the love that the mother has for the newborn child, and if you have the love which a newly married couple have for each other, then with that intensity, you will be able to realize God in just 3 days. how much intensity do we have in our journey to Swami? If we are really intense, then by now we would have done all the research possible in the world. The intensity with which we do research to find out about how we can protect ourselves from COVID, we would have done all the research in order to ensure that we get the best deal on our next iPhone or the next car that we are buying. We would have done all the research possible in order to enable us to get answers to our fundamental spiritual question, including from the Sai literature. So I think Swami had given this answer during Dasara in the late 1960s. Swami said, when you're making dal, what is important? Dal and salt. Do you put equal amount of dal and salt in your preparation? No. The Telugu words are pappu and uppu. I love this example for especially the aunties in the audience would be able to appreciate. Will you put equal amount of dal and salt into the preparation? No. You will have lots of dal and salt to taste. Correct? Now the next question. In our life, this dal is our worldly life, and this salt is the spiritual life, and it is the spiritual life which gives taste to the dal, and hence we sprinkle it wherever possible. Right? Wrong. Swami said very clearly in that discourse, the pappu or the dal is your spiritual life. It's the main life-giving nutrition that you need to be sustaining your soul in order to achieve the purpose for which it has come. Your worldly life achievements, material requirements are like the salt which is required to taste so that this spiritual life does not become bland. You have the resources, the motivation, the emotional support and the infrastructural availability in order to achieve your life's purpose. That is the kind of intensity we need to have. Are we treating our spiritual life as the dal or the salt is a question each one of us has to ask ourselves. Next question. How do we inspire young adults who seem to have strayed away from the Sai fold? I think the journey has to begin during the childhood. We are blessed that Swami has given us the Sai spiritual education program. Swami always used to highlight the example of Dhruva, Prahalada and Nachiketas as to how each of them were able to relate to the highest spiritual principles and experience the devotion for God and express that devotion for God. If these values are instilled in the childhood in the right measure and with the right priority, then they will manifest in the young adult days. Another requirement, and I'll share this with a story which Swami had shared, the story of this devotee who was in a Ganesha temple. This is again a very humorous story. I love this one, but it's extremely symbolic and powerful. There was a long line of devotees. This devotee was in the Ganesha temple, and we touch all different parts of the Ganesha's body in order to feel that, oh, we are worshipping Ganesha with all reverence. This man touched his trunk, his ears, his big belly, his tusks, his hands, everything, and then finally he put his finger in the navel of Ganesha. Now all the people standing behind were super impressed that this man is extremely devoted. He's worshipping all aspects of all parts of the Ganesha's statue, and now he's even worshipping the navel of Ganesha. And when he put his finger in the navel, there was a scorpion sitting there, and that scorpion nicely bit him. And this man thought that everybody has seen me putting my finger in the navel of Ganesha, and then they will think that I'm a fool. So he shouted out in joy, "Oh, there is bliss in the navel of Ganesha." So all the people after him in that line did exactly the same thing. They put their finger in the navel. They all got bit by the scorpion. They all kept shouting, "Oh, there is a bliss in the navel of Ganesha. There is bliss in the navel of Ganesha." It's only when we realize that the scorpion bite is not bliss, but is pain-giving poisonous sting, will we be able to give it up and stop treating the so-called bliss of the world as bliss and realize that that is not the object for which we have come. Currently, we are like those dogs who chew into the piece of that bone and chew and chew so hard that that chewing process makes their teeth bleed, and the dog thinks that the blood is actually coming out from the bone, and it chews it with even greater aggression, thinking that, my God, this is giving me so much joy because even the bone has started bleeding. In reality, it is the dog who has started bleeding, and that red color on the bone is not from the bone, but from the dog's mouth. In all of us today are living a life like that. We think that this worldly life and all its excitements are what give us joy and bliss. It is only when we prioritize that it is not the world that will give us joy, but it is the message and the path that Swami and all the great prophets, acharyas, and avatars of our land have given will give us the ultimate objective. Will we change our path back? I think when young adults are convinced of that by experience, if not by understanding, they will come back on their own. Till then, I think the best thing is to do is continuously give them all that we can so that they feel wanted, they feel loved, and they have all the support systems to help them out. Last question. Some guidelines or tips for us in our sadhana to realize, experience Swami as the indweller in all. Again, we are not face to face. Otherwise, I would have done a show of hands. How many of us have read the 15 Vahinis? How many of us have read Swami's life, Satyam Shivam Sundaram, all the volumes? How many of us are reading one discourse a week, if not one discourse a day? The Bhagavad Gita, the 11th chapter, 54th verse, Krishna tells Arjuna, Jnatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Jnatum, to know, drashtum, to see, tatvena praveshtum cha, then it will enter and internalize. First we must know, then we will be able to perceive, and then we will be able to practice. In our journey of practicing and knowing Swami within, we must aggressively engage ourselves in reading Sai literature. I would encourage you to thoroughly study and analyze in a very structured way the message that Swami has given through his writings, through his discourses, through his conversations. Swami is a prophet, an acharya, an avatar, whatever you want to call him. That divine personality of Swami has given the maximum number of messages as discourses, nearly 5,000 discourses, authored 15 full-length commentaries on some of the core aspects of spirituality, and of course, as I said, given personal interviews to nearly 10 lakh people. That's the kind of message, the wealth of message that Swami has left behind for us. If we really want to progress on the journey to spirituality, let us listen to Swami's message. Let us reflect on Swami's message, and let us internalize Swami's message. I'll conclude with one example, with one experience. Many of our students were extremely, of course, all of us, I myself, it took a long time to come out of Swami's physical exit, because our lives, especially for those who were at Prashant Nilayam as students and staff members, was all around Swami 24/7. So all of a sudden, when that form around which your life rotates moves away, what do? You feel extremely lost. So many of our students, research scholars, had gone to the Himalayas in the month immediately after Swami's physical exit. And there they were expressing their sorrow with a set of advanced spiritual yogis about Swami's demise and how sad they were that Swami is no more in their midst physically. And they thought that those yogis or sadhakas will empathize with them. They said, what nonsense. Where is the need to regret the avatar's exit? Because the avatar is not the body. The avatar is the message. The avatar comes to give a message. The avatar takes a body to give a message. And that is the sole purpose for which the incarnation comes into being. On this solemn Satyasai Aradhana Day, if we want to really express our gratitude to our most beloved master, then let us learn to read, reflect, internalize, and practice that message, and then make our lives his message and achieve the second part of the objective of his avatarhood, that we are willing to receive what Swami has come to give, liberation itself. That will be the best, highest, the most noble, and the most acceptable tribute to Swami on his Aradhana Day. With these few words, I once again thank the organizers. I thank the Satyasai International Organization, New Zealand, and all the devotees and listeners for your time and patience. I'm sure Swami will shower his grace and blessings on all of us and enable us as He is enabling us already, holding our hand and help us reach that destination. He's the source, He's the co-traveler, He's the goal. Jai Sai Ram.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Shah, for your beautiful sharing on your thoughts and experiences with Swami. So many thought-provoking messages for us all to ponder on and take away on this Aradhana Day to help us realize our ultimate reality. We will now continue the program with 3 bhajans.
Remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, who I am. Remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, who I am. Remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, who I am. Remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, remind me, my Lord, who I am. I am
Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the melodious sounds of the bhajans that were lovingly sung by some of our members. I would now like to hand it over to Uncle Manuel to give the closing remarks and vote of thanks. Sairam.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Bhagavan had once, out of sheer kindness, himself revealed, saying that one of the most important things in life is gratitude. That one's life should be an expression of love and gratitude. On this occasion, I want to pass that gratitude and thankfulness to Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, our Divine Master. Also, our guest speaker, Dr. Shashank Shah, you all, our dear audience and listeners, for this lifetime opportunity. Dr. Shashank Shah beautifully touched on the topic, Swami the indweller in all, very passionately reminding us his interaction with Swami. Where do we come from? And the mission statement of life. We are born not to be born again. Dr. Shashank Shah, you are shining Sai star. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for dedicating your time and presenting a soul-searching speech. You really brought us close to Swami and outlined a number of things and key messages that will get us even more closer to our beloved Master. Dr. Shashank Shah's talk was certainly a wake-up call for me. I noted some of the following highlights as follows. All these years, Swami has been reminding us and preparing us who we really are. And Swami is the indweller of our hearts. Every message of Swami's life is a grand message at any time, place, and age. Are we still looking up to Swami for what we want? Or we are really looking up to Swami to receive what he really wants to give us? We have to think, if Swami was here, how would we have acted? How would we have reacted? And last but not the least, read Sai literature, study and analyze it in a structural manner. I also need to thank the following group of people for their contribution to this program. Our SSIO NZ National President, Brother Murli, for organizing this event and arranging an elite speaker like Dr. Shashank Shah. Brother Kevin Naidu, our National Web Master, for his background technical support and coordination of the program. And to dear Brother Guna, our SSIO NZ National Devotional Coordinator, for his inspiring message. Sister Nalini Patel for leading us through the program, and the devotional singers for the uplifting devotional songs, and not forgetting to thank those who have posted the questions. I will be failing my duty and must include the following group during these trying and unprecedented times. On behalf of all of us, I thank all the essential workers, not only in New Zealand, but worldwide, for offering their services for the well-being of us. As we mark the Anzac Day tomorrow in New Zealand, our gratitude goes to all those who have kept the Anzac spirit in protecting and serving not only our country, but other parts of the globe as well. Dear brothers and sisters, it is unquestionable that Swami is the indweller in all. Swami is the indweller of our hearts, the witness of all our thoughts, words, and deeds. Bhagavan is and always been present with us. He is around us, above us, and most of all, within us. He is present here now too. Dearest ones, this is the time for us to intensify our efforts to express our gratitude and love to our Lord, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, who incarnated on the earth for our redemption. He has showered his grace and unconditional love on all of us. He is our eternal companion, guiding and guarding us everywhere, ever. His message is love, and he wants us to realize our true nature, which is love. The best way for us to express our gratitude to Swami is by following his teachings sincerely and intensely, so that our life is his message. May we all depart with more love, more service, and more of Sai in our life. May Swami's love and grace be with you all. Loving Sai Ram, goodbye, and Pomariye Panav. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.